Hello, my name's Matt Duffy. I'm the Catchment Officer for the Catchment Rivers Trust, and I'm just doing a little bit of a video to go alongside my beginner's guide to birdwatching. So I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about how I birdwatch, and then we're gonna go for a walk outside and see what we can see. So me and my housemate's quite lucky because we get this view, and we often see lots of different birds flying out. And if we ever spot one, such as a kestrel, we all run to the window and have a look at it. We often see a heron flying over as well, but we like just to watch the pigeons as well. We get a few pigeons at our bird feeder and a few magpies sometimes, and we also get some blue tits coming up. Right, so I'm outside now, and I'm just going to go on a little walk around Cholera Monument, and then maybe to Norfolk Park. Let's see what we can see. So we have the sound of a goldfinch over here. The way that I can tell it's a goldfinch is because it has that trill sound to it, and it's very similar to a wren, but it's less formal than a wren's, and they tend to do it quite constantly, whereas a wren will have a little break. And they usually seen together in groups. They're very social little birds, and they have a lovely little red face and then a golden bit on the wing. So I've just come into Cholera Monument, and I can hear a dunnock. I can see it just in that ash tree there. I don't know whether you can see it, but I used to get the sound of a dunnock confused with a robin because they look quite similar, and you'd usually get them in a hedge, but it's much flatter than a robin's, and it tends to repeat the same thing over and over again, whereas a robin sings in paragraphs. So it'll sing one thing and it'll move on to a next thing and move on to something different. Well, this always sounds pretty similar. Also, robin is much more tuneful and melodic and sweeter than the dunnock. So this is the sound of a robin. You can hear it's moving from one phrase to the next. It's got a very sweet sound to it, and it's much more melodic than the dunnock that you just heard. So I'm walking through Claywood here, and as you can hear, there's lots of different sounds around me. And at first it's quite difficult to pinpoint one out that you recognise, but if you get one in your head first, and then you'll start hearing it out and about and be able to recognise it in different places. So that chiff chaff chiff chaff chiff chaff that you've just heard is the sound of the chiff chaff, and it says its name over and over again just to remind you of what it's called. There it is again. And it's often a sign that spring is here. They're one of the first summer migrants to come across. And so once you hear the chiff chaff, you know you're heading towards better weather. And that's the great tit. You can hear the really strong two-note sound that it's making. Teacher, teacher, it's said to assert. That's a really good one to know. You'll hear it a lot. It's very similar to a coal tits, but once you've got the great tit under your belt, it's a good one. The great tit makes lots of different sounds, and it often confuses birders to which bird it is. But that's its song, that's its display to everyone that this is its territory and that it's looking for a mate. So it'll keep on singing like that throughout the breeding season. So bird watching for me can be a bit of a passive act. It's usually something I do when I'm on my way somewhere, or if I'm doing something else like cycling. I like to listen out for the birds. So you don't always have to specifically go out to be bird watching, but you can just do it on your way to your shops or on the way to work. So that 2-note sound sounds like something we've heard before. It sounds like the great tit, but this one's much sweeter, much higher in pitch, and it's the sound of a coal tit. They're often said to say pichu, pichu. Hopefully you can hear the difference. You have a very common bird, the blackbird, but I can tell it's a male blackbird by its yellow beak and very black colour, whereas the females are a bit brown and they have a bit of a spotty belly and they don't have a yellow beak. So I really like bird watching because it just helps me take my mind off things generally, just getting out and listening to what's around me and not getting too caught up in my own thoughts and internalising a lot of things. Just being outwardly looking, and it makes me feel a bit more peaceful. So we have 2 birds here. That really strong 2-note one's a great tit. I can also hear a song thrush doing its thing. So there's a song thrush over here. That repeating 3 phrase. So it'll do 3 phrases and then move on to the next phrase. And it sounds very similar in tone to a blackbird. It's in the thrush family, but it's quite distinctive from a blackbird because it does those 3 phrases and then moves on to something completely different. 3 phrases, but sometimes they repeat it more than 3 times because they're not very good counters. It's one of my favourite ones, that one. We've got a missile thrush just there on top of that lamppost. It's a bit bigger than the song thrush. That's what makes it distinctive. But also you can often find them just grazing on open grassland. It's probably here for all this grass. Most of my time watching birds is just spent watching the pigeons coming in and out of this building, flying around in swoops. I watch them go around in the air and they make quite nice formations. It's almost like a starling murmuration but with pigeons. See, here they are, just did a little swoop. So yeah, I'm back at Park Hill, and yeah, hope you've enjoyed that video, and just having a little walk with me, listening to the birds, and hopefully next time you go out you can hear a few of the birds that I've spotted out on this video. But yeah, hope to see you soon.